I'm gonna go see.
This is a letter we got on each one of Gary's notes.
How many tickets would you like this for Essex House to raffle?
How much are
I'm
they?
gonna leave this with
$1 a
you.
piece
I'll do
or
this
10 for
next
$10?
Wow, 10 for 10. Let me
Oh,
have
it went
five.
down. I thought you told me 10 for 20. I said, oh, well, I'll jump on that.
So we're gonna 10
I
forward.
happen to have a $5 bill, so let me have five. So what do I win? A free night?
Yeah, at Essex House, and all the food you can eat.
So I need to fill this out and give you the stubs?
Yeah, yeah. Sometime, the drawing's not until the 7th, so anytime I can have it before then.
Bob, take some. If you take a credit card, I'll do it now. But this one, that's all I got. So I'll get. Put me down for about 5.
Okay.
Thank you.
With my mask stand.
I always bring one from the airport, so I'll bring that one too.
Okay, I'll,
I'm not a big fan of
did it with you?
Throw it away, it's not in there, you file it.
People eat this part of it, and it disappears. I don't care.
We used to have cats make rubber bands.
This thing, I had to hide these things. Of course, they won't eat them.
I can't send that. My grandson, I hit past it. He didn't like swallow, but he chewed a hole in it.
That's great.
Daughter made her down on Facebook. Another boy.
And I used to tell people congratulations down and tell them I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm telling you, on this end of it, it's easy.
It is great as grandparents.
Yes, but you're right.
Oh my God.
I still got a 15-year-old, so I know all about it.
Yep.
And he's at that age, he wants to do everything, but he's not old enough to drive himself, so we're running ourselves.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Hey, what was his last name? Maybe Hedge what?
Who?
Hedge what? What was his last name?
Hedge Dellinger.
Now,
That's John Dellinger's uncle.
okay. And then John's mom was a Stanley, right?
Yeah, that's Wink's sister.
Didn't Wink come from New York City?
Didn't he what?
Didn't Wink come from New York City, his family?
Now, he was a New York Yankee fan. He spent a lot of time up there.
That's what.
But no, I think it's all raised around here.
Hey, let me see if I got. I know Wink. I ain't got no figures telling me story. My grandfather played football. He was riding with my great grandfather. He was kind of the manager. You know, 'cause he was younger. He would go to all the football games. He said they get a couple station wagons and took the team. That's all they had. Fully dressed. Yeah.
Wink used to live in my house. There were 7 of them. Babe and what was the one? He was a bondsman. He'd take his spare tire or something. Stamey, what was his name?
See, I knew Wink.
He'd take. You get in trouble? I got in a little trouble one night over here. God, I can't think of his name. But anyhow, I said, I need a little help. He said, you got any money? And I said, no. He said, what you got? I said, I ain't got nothing. He said, you got a spare tire out there? And I said, yeah. He said, that'll do. He took it. What was his name, Marty? You ought to remember. He talked funny. Wink Stamey's brother. He talked. Oh, he was famous.
He wasn't that ran the magazine stand or newspaper stand right over here.
That was Jim.
That was Jim, ran a little giant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim.
Okay.
You remember when that place got bombed?
No.
They bombed the whole side out of it one night.
When Jewel was running it when I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, it was between Wink and Jim. Never found out who done it.
Get ready to go.
I'll tell you what, if I had bombed the Stamey property, I guarantee nobody'd find out who did it, 'cause you'd be dead. There was no doubt about it.
Well.
I got to know Winko because he would walk every evening at the track. Every evening, he had that walking stick.
Oh, yeah,
And
he'd
so
walk
he
you
would
to
walk
death,
in
boy.
while we were practicing football, you know. And then when I got out of college and come back, I was going over there in the evenings after work and walking. And I walked with him a good bit. He had a lot of stories though.
Oh, gosh.
My grandfather,
He'd walk you to death too, boy.
he would.
He'd get that stick a going. There you go.
Oh, you're putting them in other people's knees?
Mayor, these rules, you'll put those in that real next, thank you so much.
What is it, Chief? What is it? It's a raffle for gift baskets, gift cards, to help Hess at House.
Here you go, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shirley Jim Deep, so he's gonna be pushed down the line. He texted me and said he's a little slow tonight.
Did you go to West Lincoln?
I watched it on the
It's
computer.
pretty bad for them.
I thought they played good
Oh,
ball.
they did. You know, the thing is, they only got 3 seniors.
Never wore one of those
So
N95s.
this team's pretty much the team they don't have.
My head's too fat for it.
Well, they've done a job from the first of the season.
Oh,
Gosh.
We'll go ahead and call the November the 4th City Council meeting to order. If we can pause for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Now if we'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'll, I hope everybody's had a chance to look over the agenda. We did add a couple of items more than what we had on the mail out. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the regular agenda items.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You've had a chance to look at the consent agenda item. It's only one. It's the minutes for the last meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda item.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We're going to take liberty, because I don't see Marty here. Marty Hallman is with Timpkin, and he was running a little bit late, so we'll go ahead and skip down to 2B. Discussion and consideration of draft request for proposal for sales and adaptive use for the second and third floors, and I'll turn it over to Laura Elam.
Thank you, Mayor. This RFP format and structure is very similar to the one that we did for the Water Street building. The timeframe that's being anticipated here would be for the responses to the RFP to come in by March of 2022, and then presentations by the respondents to City Council in May of 2022, and then selection of the development team by the City Council in June 2022. So we're looking for you to tell us if you want us to make any changes to any of this, the time frame, the RFP itself. And if you are not needing any changes, we're looking for direction to proceed as outlined. Happy to answer any questions.
Does this preclude any kind of commercial application for either floor?
Yes, sir, it does. It's structured so that the responses need to be limited to multifamily residential uses and/or live-work units. And it would be on the second and third floors of the building only.
Okay, any questions of Laura? Okay, I entertain a motion to either approve or deny the draft for proposals for the reuse of the second and third floor of the Welcome Center.
I make a motion to approve the use of the second and third floor. So,
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Now, we'll go to budget amendment to the annual budget ordinance for the fiscal year, and I'll turn it over to Richie.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is actually, both of these are just going to be a wash. We received the money on the revenue side, so we have to show it on the expenditure side. The first is the federal grants, the brownfield, the $31,130. And then the second is part of the Boger City District for Training Assets Grant from the Lincoln County, North Carolina Volunteer Firemen. Be glad to answer any questions, but it's just pretty much just a little spring cleaning in the fall.
Any questions about the budget amendments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the request.
Move we approve.
Motion to approve by Marty. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And I still don't see Marty, so we'll go down to our regular agenda. First thing under the regular agenda is Tommy Husky is here representing the DDA about the Alive After 5 concerts for next year.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman. I'm here talking about summertime. Let's think warm. Now, what we've got, several years back, I think the council designated our 4 events, May, June, July, and August, as a signature events. And with the COVID pandemic we've went through for the last year and a half or so, we've been unable to man several of our large fundraising events. So I'm asking if we could maybe pick up a 5th event this coming summer to help offset or improve some of the income. And we're looking, the reason I'm doing it so early, we're kind of going to change a few things and go with some different groups and maybe go after sponsors a little differently. So the earlier I can get an approval, then the quicker we can start locating bands.
Any questions of Tommy?
I would like to add too, on the city side, now that the DDA is doing the stage for us, we don't have near the expense that we did in the event, so they've saved us a ton of money by doing that.
Are you planning on starting, having it earlier or?
Well, the
or
last
later?
Thursday of May, June, July, August, and September.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the request from the DDA.
I make a motion, we approve.
Motion to approve by Roby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a proposed revision to policy for employee service recognition, and I'll turn it over to Tanya.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Looking at the employee service recognition program, is that we had changed it to go to gift cards instead of using the service award company we had in the past. And what we found is that there's a lot more steps to doing gift cards and getting them through the process, through the finance department, than is really it would be more efficient to change to doing direct deposit. Because with gift cards, of course, we're going out and purchasing them, and then we're doing a spreadsheet in my department, which goes to payroll, which is entered into payroll, and then because of the way the gift cards have to be taxed, what ends up is that journal entries have to be made by our accountant after the fact. So we have several processes we're having to do in reference to recording gift cards and taxes. So we're asking that we change from the gift cards to making them into direct deposits. We would still generate that check stub, so we have something in hand to give the employee along with the certificate that we do, because we do want to have a recognition still for their years of service. And then the other item that was in this when we were looking at it, and this is something that I have talked with our finance director, Pam, about, and I believe Pam has spoke with the city manager regarding the change also. The other thing was looking at the dollar amounts in reference to what they were as to where we would ask they be approved to go is basically it's grossing it up a little bit. So even when we put it through the payroll system, that depending on what kind of tax bracket that employee is in, the taxes are going to be taken out, but we're trying to get it so that it's an amount that's kind of comparable to what it would have been if the taxes hadn't been taken out. So there is a little bit of a gross up there, which the manager has looked at in reference to what the dollars are. So we want them to kind of net as close as possible to what our program is. They've put more in their pockets. So what I'm asking is that council will approve that we change to running it through the payroll system, and then also the dollar amounts that we've changed for both the service awards and the retiring employees.
Any questions of Tanya? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the request for the change in the employee service recognition.
I make a motion, we approve the request.
Motion by Marty to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And while Tanya's got the floor, we got a vaccination incentive update.
Back at the September 2nd council meeting, you had approved for us to implement a voluntary vaccination incentive program. And so I just wanted to come this evening to kind of give you an update as to what occurred from that, because it ended as of October 29th. And looking online, when you look at real time, the U.S. COVID risk and vaccination tracker, if you look at the state of North Carolina as a whole, it's showing fully vaccinated individuals being at 53% and individuals with at least one dose at 65%. When we look at Lincoln County on that same vaccine tracker, Lincoln County as a whole has got 44% fully vaccinated and then 53% at least one dose. So just looking at us as a city, when we first brought the program to you, we thought that we had about 40%, somewhere in that range, vaccinated. Now that we have, of course, the proof of vaccination in hand, we know that we had approximately 41%, so we were pretty close in that. After we ended the program, we are at almost 50%. It's like 49.8. But you know, how do you have a 0.8? So we're really kind of in line with what the state of North Carolina is currently. Of course, if you look at that tracker, there are different counties that have different levels. But at least we are at a point where comparable to what this Lincoln County is. We had talked about, of course, the cost of the program. So we wanted to make that clear that this was going to be available to be paid through the American Rescue Plan dollars in reference to the program. And so it'll end up being about $44,000 that is paid. And so overall, we went from 41% to 50%.
Good.
Do you have any questions that you might want to know?
Since the incentive period is now over, we should assume that the other 50% will probably not get vaccinated. Is that correct?
That's what I would believe at this point.
Unless it comes down that it is required.
Right.
There's
and
still
that
a lot of
is,
discussion about that.
We do not know what the future holds in reference to mandatory vaccinations. Of course, you know, we went in good faith trying to get our employees vaccinated a higher percentage than what we believed we have. Because of course, every vaccinated employee we have, you can think about that exponentially as to who they come in contact with. Because I think, we've talked about what was the cost of the COVID pay when that was mandated to us, which was over $100,000, just employees being out because they weren't vaccinated or because of their family members. So I do not know what the future will hold.
I have a question. Did you say that our county is comparable to the other counties in North Carolina?
No, ma'am. Lincoln County, I said, we as the city are comparable to Lincoln County. Oh yes, the counties vary depending on which part of the state you're in as to what percentages that they have vaccinated. Is there any other questions? Nope.
Thank you. And while we've got you on there, and this is just for information, Tanya and I have talked about it, Richie and I have talked about it. It's time that we start making plans for Richie's evaluation. Did not put that as an agenda item because it takes no action. But what we were looking at, and I wanted to get the council's approval on this, I'll get together with Tanya in the next couple of weeks and Richie and come up with an evaluation form. It should be, and Richie and I talked about this at length, very similar to Steve's, but I want to give Richie an opportunity to come up with his own goals and dovetail that with the other senior members of his staff and try to get it ready to go out with the board mail out for December. And then if you'll bring them back at the December meeting, then Marty and I will get together and tabulate them. And then that way we can go ahead and have his evaluation in January at the January City Council meeting. And that meets, Richie was officially hired last January, so that is within the annual framework that we try to operate under. Is that agreeable with everybody? Okay.
Because there's a lot of holidays coming up.
Yeah, yeah. But like I say, and Tanya, thank gosh, Tanya keeps me and everybody else straight.
I don't know about
because
that.
I hadn't even thought about it until we've talked a couple of times through email, and so it is time of the year for that, and had an opportunity to talk to Richie about the logistics of it today. Because we want, and Richie and I are both in agreement, we want this to be an evaluation that stresses more his goals and what he's trying to accomplish for the city rather than just checking off boxes.
Which the evaluation form that y'all utilize you've got boxes and places to put comments, and then at the end is where you've got for the proposed goals that you would like to be seen accomplished.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Now, we'll go back up to the first item, and that's a presentation by the Timpkin organization for a Timpkin grant, and I'll introduce Marty Hallman. Marty is with Timpkin. Marty is the big dog at Timpkin now. I'll say this for recognition of Marty. Marty's a local person, born and raised here in Lincolnton, and he is now over the operations for North America and South America for Timpkin. So it's not just the Timpkin plant here in Lincolnton. It's the big shooting match, the whole kit and caboodle. And we're very proud of Marty and the success that he has had with Timpkin. And he's got a little presentation that he would like to make to Richie. And Richie and Marty went to high school
Oh,
together.
he grew up on the top of Haynes Hill.
We
You
won't.
can take that for good or bad.
Yeah, I was going to say we won't hold that against you, Marty.
I'll go ahead and tell you the best football games we ever played in were on top of Haynes Hill. It wasn't over here.
So, me and Richie got together here probably 6 months ago or 9 months ago, and one of the great things about my job with the Timken Company, I don't know how much you know about the foundation, but the family of Timken provides money for each community. So it comes out of their personal money they invest in the communities outside the company. So we get an opportunity as a plant manager or director, we get a certain amount of money allotted each community to give out to the area. And they give it to the plant managers in the area community because we're engaged in the community. We know the needs of the community. And so me and Richie got together and we again continue to try to revitalize downtown and grow downtown Lincolnton. And we talked about a theater. I've moved around. I've been in other states and I've seen theaters. Me and Richie got together and thanks for him and Lincoln County having a vision. But we want to be a contributor to this. And to the foundation agreed to contribute $50,000 to the work we're going to do there at the First Federal Park for the theater and growing that area to picnic tables and more of a usable facility.
Patio area, yeah.
So I want to give Richie his $50,000 check.
Yeah, take that. That's good. Thank you.
And as Mr. Hatley said there, Mayor Hatley, it is an honor to come back, Lincoln. I moved around with Timken and to come back home here and get to contribute to the community I grew up in. It's been great giving out to other communities as well, but it is nice to come back here because I do know a lot of people. And the bad news is I have I know the community well, and I want to give out more money than they give me. But it is great and to contribute to the growth of City of Lincoln.
And they were also a donor at First Federal Park itself.
Yep.
And
First Federal Park and Splash Pad.
Yeah, I think the money y'all gave us allowed us to get over the hump to finish that project. So we thank you for everything you did.
Yep.
It's nice to, like I say, it's nice to
We
have
do
you
that
back in the
whole letter
community.
goes with it.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were say, is this not real?
It is. It's just a letter for directions.
I'll call Pam. She'll get me the real.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Marty, and thanks to Timken. And if you'll notice, I mentioned Richie's evaluation before he accepted the check. So now we've got a little bit to hold over his head. Okay, next item on the agenda, we're skipping around a little bit, is the manager's report and activity update. And Richie, thank you for working with Marty to ensure the Timken grant.
You know, we have so many good, great industries in our community, and a lot of people don't know. They see what they're doing as far as the employment and you know, but they don't see what they do on the other side. And Timken has given, I don't know, I hate to say millions because it might be billions, but they've given millions and millions and millions. And if you ever go up to Canton, you'll see their name on about everything, because that's their home headquarters, and they do an excellent job. And I am glad to see Marty back in the area though, because that's one of my childhood friends that I had to drive to Ohio to see him before then. But in Greenville, South Carolina.
And I'll put this in. This is how much Marty thinks of Lincolnton and Lincoln County. He agreed to take the new promotion over the North America and South America, only with the condition that he be allowed to stay in Lincoln County.
Yeah.
So that says a lot for him and the way that Timken works with their people.
Yeah. I thought if you wanted to, we'd go and just look at the code enforcement first. I think we've got a copy of this. Now, I know it looks like, oh my gosh, where do they all go to? But a lot of these were grass violations the last time we looked at it. And Nathan, you do that. You do the Mobile 311, so this time of year you don't have to worry about that as much. But I would like to point out that 5 of the 7 abandoned structures that we have on that list have already had some type of action, whether they've had a hearing or a letter sent out and a reply from that person. 2 have already actually applied for a demo permit. So we're moving a little bit better, a little bit quicker than I thought we would on that end. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of them's going to reach out to the fire department chief about a possible burn. So we may have 3 or 4 of these demoed in the next month or two. But be glad to answer any questions on that. One thing to understand is that, let's say we have somebody say, well, I'm gonna demo it. That process still continues until the actual code enforcement violation is resolved. So just because you say I'm going to demo doesn't mean we stop. We continue, whether it's a fine or whatever level we're at that point, until the violation is over with. So I know in the past we've had people, oh yeah, I'm going to do something with it, and nothing ever happened. Well, they'll be continued to be fined until something does happen. I was also wanting to give just an update on some of our committees. We're getting toward the end of the year for those, but the steering committee, right now we're in the process of working on a strategic plan for our downtown, one of which is the streetscape. I know with the court square, the courthouse reuse plan, one of the things we've talked about is the need to redo the courthouse lawn. So I think it's a perfect time to look at our streetscape and how can we make improvements, not only just for aesthetics, but also for mobility and walking. We know that we're going to have to get people over to the courthouse if we have something there, so how do we do that? And Water Street. There's some upgrades that we'd like to see on Water Street, because right now the Young Adult Committee is working on it, and that is kind of their focus, and they want to make it an entertainment area. So, like I say, the streetscape is going to be a big part of that strategic plan. Second floor renovations, we just talked about that tonight with the RFP. How do we get those second floor spaces utilized? Because if you go downtown, there's just not a lot of space on that main floor anymore. Very little to rent. So the next level is that second floor, and how do we get people living downtown and repurpose those areas? And then also to develop an arts and cultural identity for downtown. And we've done a real good job of that so far, but we want to continue that. Whether it's pottery or the murals or the quilt squares or something very similar, how do we continue that and have an actual plan that guides us down that road? And then recruitment and retention of specialty businesses. I mean, we went out after the restaurants, we went out after the breweries. What else is there? Is it a bakery? What else can we put downtown that kind of separates us from everybody else or just brings people in? As I mentioned, the Young Adult Committee, Water Street is their focus right now. We're also looking at a gateway signage, possibly across from the Welcome Center to Local Routes. I've talked to Ethan Herman about getting some pricing for that, but if y'all remember, when we first looked at Local Routes, the building, that was brought to our attention. How cool would that be? To actually, you come around the court square to see that signage in between the buildings. So we're going to get a price on that and possibly put that before council at budget retreat for next year's budget. And then special events, whether it's Food Truck Friday, or we mentioned even about doing something next year at the Apple Drop, which we may extend it down Water Street for a 12 o'clock drop instead of a 7 o'clock. So different things that they're working on. I'm excited. That group's excited. We had a great response. We've visited a lot of the businesses around too, so we're kind of creating our own little small economic in our meetings. But the other one is our strategic plan committees, which is made up of our staff. They'll be working on those right now. They're due to me December 6th, and then I will meet with those groups to go over those plans before we bring it to y'all at budget retreat in March. And as normal, these will drive our budget process. We also created a customer service committee, and really what we want to do, we want to evaluate our interaction with the customer and how can we improve that experience for the customer. And then a work order committee, which is basically to utilize a work order system for not only our staff but also the citizen. And the question there is, how can we make it easy? Can I, as a citizen, go online and do a work order for my street light? So I don't have to call in, or if I'm out and about, or superintendent's out and about, or department head, they can click a button, and then that work order automatically goes to the people that need it. So, like I said, those are just a few things we're working on. Wanted to mention some dates and events. Tomorrow is monthly recycling, so you haven't put your blue bin out. It's kind of a nasty night to put it out, but it's so hard to remember it the next morning. And those guys get out there. I mean, they're going to be there at 7 o'clock. So if you don't get it out tonight, then there's a good chance you'll forget and it won't get picked up. Also, tomorrow evening is fall crawl, and thank goodness I think the weather's going to be better tomorrow than it is today. Is that 5 to 9 or 5 to 10?
5 to 9, I had it.
Okay. Well, I had on here 5:30 to 9:30, but I got your message, and I thought, well, I better not say 5:30. So, and then November 11th is Veterans Day. It's hard to believe we're already talking Veterans Day. Would like to mention the banners. We have had such a positive feedback for that. I can go ahead and tell you, we'll fill the Main Street up pretty quick on that, and that's a good thing. But
would it be appropriate for us as a council to adopt a resolution of appreciation to Dale Punch? And possibly there were 2 or 3 other people who really, they handled all those phone calls, all those checks, communications with Travis.
He done got the big head enough, Mark. If we do that, it's going to be terrible.
I called Bill last week and told him that this was probably the most positive thing that Lincolnton has done since I've been around, and it's been all his incentive.
yeah, I think that would be appropriate, and we're also wanting to do something for all the men and women that were involved in the incident a few weeks ago with the fire department and the police department. So might want to think about both of those either in December or do one in December, one in January. But I agree, there's so many hours that went into that banner program that people don't even think about. They just ride by and see it.
And
they don't
special
realize.
thanks to the electric department
Yeah,
here
our
in the
staff.
city
Yeah.
for installations.
Yeah.
They've done a great job.
And Dale, actually, that was the day after I called, and I just wanted everybody to know how appreciative he was for us to utilize staff on putting those up. But like I mentioned, though, Veterans Day, we will be closed. Our offices will be closed. And then there will be a parade that day at 11 o'clock, and then a short ceremony on the east side of the courthouse. Normally it's around 11:30. But just pray for weather. Laura and I have sat through some cold days, and we've sat through some really good weather days, but it can get pretty cold. And then November 13th is the second Saturday Christmas open house for downtown. That's something DDA is trying to put a focus on that second Saturday to get the people downtown and to really help the businesses. And then November 25th and 26th for Thanksgiving, city offices will be closed. And then the parade will be November 28th. And lineup is at 2, and the parade starts at 4. And I look to have a big crowd this year for that. One of the things I was wanting to mention on the project update, I mentioned before that the old police department, we had some concerns because we had a gentleman that ran into it with a vehicle, and we knew there was some structural damage. We had to get an engineer out there to actually tell us what we could do. I had been given a number of 6 digits originally, but in talking to Dana of Howard Construction, looks like that's going to be 60 or 65,000. So he's sending that information over so I can send it to the insurance company. But we will need to talk about what are we going to do with that building. He had even mentioned, you don't have to repair it right now. You could sell it as is because the land may be worth more than the building, but that is something I'll have to bring back to council for us to make a decision on. But at least now we know what's involved, and he only told me, he said that 60 to 65 could change by next week. He said with construction costs.
As a result of the guy hitting it?
Yeah. It's the building itself is really the issue.
Is his insurance not in a position to help us with that?
Oh yeah, they'll have to up to a certain amount, I'm sure. But I mean, that's no different than hitting a Lexus,
And I know we can't do anything right now, but while we're waiting, can we cut the weeds out of the bushes around?
I've already, in fact, that's Nathan and I are discussing that tomorrow. I think that or almost take the bushes out.
It's still our building.
Yeah,
we need to take care of the problem.
And we've got a gentleman that's maintaining the police department right now as far as spraying and everything. At Lincolnton's building, we did get our samples on the abatement report, so hopefully we'll get that back soon and we can go ahead and bid those out. And then the downtown paving, I know y'all maybe noticed that. Did he get to the cemetery today, Nathan? I doubt he did with the weather, but by tomorrow, hopefully North Academy will be done. We didn't do that because there was an event at the church. We didn't want to interrupt that. And then he said, well, I'm coming back to get 2 streets inside the cemetery. I'll do it then. So hopefully by tomorrow, all that will be completed. But it looks really, really good. Nathan's guys will go back and repaint everything. So we'll be spruced up and ready for Christmas. I would like to mention, and I'm going to have, since Pam's not here tonight, not going to a great discussion, but to let you know, in next month's packet, I'm going to have her put a chart in there showing when we did the restaurant and when we did the new police station and then the welcome center, we were utilizing basically a loan from the electric department, but the assets were kept in the electric department. When we did our audit, the auditors were like, y'all need to move that out. It needs to go into general fund. So we've moved all that now. In doing so, we actually had enough money from mainly sales tax, enough money that we had additional from last year to basically do all that. So the only loan we'll have with the electric department will be the initial amount we bought, which was the $1 million to buy the building and to start the project. And that also gives the electric department an additional $1.2 million in their fund balance. And when it's all said and done, we still had over $120,000 left in our fund balance to go to the general fund. So I want her to show you how that happened and everything. But like I say, it was the auditor saying we need to get this asset. The good thing is when the restaurant is sold down the road, that will be a general fund asset, and that money can be used in the general fund, or we can do the same thing with another building. Same thing with the old police department. We had planned on whatever those proceeds were for the loan, but we can do that, or we can use it in our downtown area as well. So
with this damage to the old police building, the county is no longer interested in the register of deeds or anything like that?
The building was going to cost too much to renovate. They were going to put an elevator in. I still think the land is worth more than the building.
Yeah, probably.
But like I said, I'll have her put that in the packet because there's some detail that I didn't go into. But basically, when it's all said and done, what Pam and I feared turned out to be a good thing. So it normally doesn't happen that way. But I will tell you this. You know how good our sales tax were last year? This year, July and August, we were 20% over last year's.
Wow.
So hopefully that continues. But like I say, be glad. I didn't really go over a lot on the monthly report because really nothing changed from last time. And I actually wanted to see, would you prefer on that more of a quarterly report and maybe from Pam, or how would y'all want to do that? Because really, especially this time of year, the numbers aren't changing dramatically. The way we do our POs now, we're pulling all that money out early, so it's not changing too much from month to month.
Action on budget amendments.
Correct.
So, that's really the only thing in your monthly report that really changes any significant amount.
Well, I thought about maybe if y'all wanted to start in January doing a quarterly on the financial and overtime, and then the rest of it doing updates on our projects, committees, anything going on in our departments, or if there's something y'all want talked about like we've done in the past, then let me know, and that next month that's what I'll spend the time on. So
I'm fine with a quarter report. Yeah. Financially, I do like, first of all, that you hone this down to the ones getting the most attention. And I would like to keep up with that, and I would like to say I appreciate how much time it has taken for y'all to pursue this and make sure the county is assisting us the way they agreed to. And I think our town's going to look a whole lot better 24 months from now than it does now.
We had a controlled burn, was it Monday? Tuesday night down here at the old house that sat across from the mill there. And that was something that the homeowner, wanted. I think, in talking to Laura and Jean, they're really pleased with the progress we're making. So I think as long as we continue on the path we're going now, we'll be fine. But like I say, be glad to answer any questions. I put us over to 7:30 mark. We're going to blame that on Marty, because I told TJ I thought we'd be out here by 7:30. So.
On our Veterans Day parade, we got any high school bands? Are we going to have any bands?
Yes, we are.
Well, that's good. I'm proud to hear that.
Actually, the Lincolnton High School Junior ROTC, Air Force ROTC, we've got a scout troop, so I've been working on that.
That's good.
The July 4th is the toughest one to get bands because it's in the summer.
Everybody's got
Normally the other ones we can get bands too.
I would like to, since there's no other place to do this, you've got this aviation information at your place. I know you may not want to read it. It's sort of interesting, but if you'll look on page 14, the one line dealing with the Lincoln County Airport, you'd be surprised at the kind of economic impact it's having. So I just call that your attention.
120 jobs, I think it said on there.
The money is even more impressive, how much economic impact it has.
We're teaming up with the county and LEDA to do an ad in a business magazine that's basically, I think it was 840,000, Laura, is what they told us. It's a script, 840,000. And LEDA's taking the lead. They're paying about 50% of it, and the county and us are splitting it. But it will basically give almost a one-day trip. So telling what you could fly into the airport and what you could do in a day, whether it's in Lincoln County or Lincolnton. So I'll let you know how that turns out. But
the county did approve a $300,000 match, which then will make state appropriation for filling in the hole. That'll be a total of $3 million. And that will allow them now to build jet hangars. And of course, a $20 million jet pays a whole lot of property tax, about $80,000, one jet. So, and our agreement with the airport, at some point we start getting some of that tax money. So, but that hole has been a problem for at least 16 years. They couldn't do anything without the hole getting filled. So that's a step in the right direction.
When will that point be?
Well, I think they're planning to let bids in February.
Really?
Yeah.
So the grading probably start when the weather gets better.
And it may not be the whole, the complete hole.
Not the entire hole, the cheapest end of the hole.
Right. So it's in the works.
Yeah. Good.
I just looked it up. It's actually Lincolnton High School band that will be in the Veterans Parade.
Really?
Lincolnton High School band, the Lincolnton Air Force Junior ROTC.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'll never forget one Veterans Day, they was coming down the street and had a radio. That was the most pitiful thing. I had a recording. It was the most pitiful thing I've ever seen. But I'm proud you got some bands. That's great.
Okay. Any other questions of Richie? If not, has anyone signed up for public comment? And there's no news media here, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Roby and Christine. Give both of them credit. And any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Where's Francis tonight? She's sick?
Vacation. But this is something that she